Hello. So Christian Nielsen resigns as Secretary of Homeland Security. Pete Buttigieg attacks Mike Pence. And then Democrats go out there, Candace Owens. I'll get to all of it. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God and Freedom Show. Alright, I hope everyone had a great weekend. We have a lot to get to, so let's not waste any time. So on Monday, Christian Nielsen announced that she was resigning from her position as Secretary of Homeland Security. And here's her actual resignation letter right here. It says, Mr. President, I hereby resign from the position of Secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security effective April 7th, 2019. It has been my great honor to lead the men and women of the department as its sixth secretary. I could not be prouder of and more humbled by their service, dedication, and commitment to keep our country safe from all threats and hazards. I join all Americans in thanking them for their sacrifices and those of their families. For more than 2 years of service, beginning during the presidential transition, I have worked tirelessly to advance the goals and missions of the department. I am immensely proud of our successes in transforming DHS to keep pace with our enemies and adversaries, whether it is in cyberspace or against emerging threats from new technologies. Despite our progress in reforming Homeland Security for a new age, I have determined that it is the right time for me to step aside. I hope that the next secretary will have the support of Congress and the courts in fixing the laws which have impeded our ability to fully secure America's borders, which have contributed to discord in our nation's discourse. Our country and the men and women of DHS deserve to have all the tools and resources necessary they need to execute the mission entrusted to them. I can say with confidence our homeland is safer than today than when I joined the administration. We have taken unprecedented action to protect Americans. We have implemented historic efforts to defend our borders, combat illegal immigration, obstruct the inflow of drugs, and uphold our laws and values. We have responded decisively to record-breaking natural disasters and helped Americans rebuild. We have prevented disruption of U.S. elections and guarded against foreign interference in our democracy. We have replaced complacency with consequences in cyberspace. We are holding digital intruders accountable, and we are stepping up our protection of American networks. We have thwarted terrorists plotting against our homeland and launched new effort to block terrorists and criminals from reaching our shores. And we have ramped up our security measures to make it harder for our enemies and adversaries to attack us, whether it is with drones, chemical, or biological weapons, or through other means. Thank you again for the privilege to serve the American people and to lead the outstanding men and women of the Department of Homeland Security. Supporting these patriots has been a great honor of a lifetime. Sincerely, Christian N. Nielsen, the Secretary of Homeland Security. So, obviously, I wish her the best in her future. Personally, I liked her as Secretary of Homeland Security. She did a great job with, with the, of course, as you said, with influx of drugs, keeping our borders safe as best as she could, and everything. She all around did a good job, and for being a part of the Trump administration, she did, I think, better than anyone else could. So hopefully, the new secretary could do as well, if not more, than what has been done here. And when she says, in the letter right here, where is it? Sorry. See, misplaced it. Yeah. So basically, what she says that the people at DHS observe the resources and all that necessary to get to stop illegal immigration. She's exactly right. The problem is that just our U.S. government. I'm not really blaming President Trump for this. I mean, he's really trying as best he can to get all this, but the problem is Congress is not having it. But because, as we know now, Democrats are completely supportive of open borders, so they're not gonna move an inch with that whole thing, which is part of the reason why President Trump declared a national emergency for it. But again, that wasn't the best thing in the world to do. But he did what he had to do, of course, because Democrats again were not moving an inch with the whole thing. But like I said, she did a great job, and especially with the Trump administration, we know it could be kind of rough there, especially when sometimes the president has the habit at turning on people sometimes. So, working in that environment is probably pretty stressful, but again, she did well. She did very well. So, of course, there's people in the media on the left that kind of revel in all this. Like people Democrats did not like her at all. They called her evil, like a white supremacist and all that. It was like all of that. So one of the first pieces I want to point out is a piece by Splinter News, and it's by someone named Paul Bless, and here's what it says. It's Kirstjen Nielsen's last day as the Secretary of Homeland Security, and already she is along with her. Excuse me. And already she along with her best buds in D.C. are reportedly desperate to do some PR surgery on her, so she isn't known for the rest of her life as a woman who threw children in cages at the request of Donald Bleep Trump and then lied to Congress about it. Okay. First I want to point out, the whole throwing children in the cages, it's like that, and it's like kind of the Holocaust thing, whatever. Don't get me wrong. It's horrible that has to happen, but that's law. And that's the law of the United States. And it was not implemented by Trump, by the way. This was a ruling by the Ninth Circuit. DC, no, was it Ninth? Yeah, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, back in 2016, under the Obama administration. And by the way, this thing happened in the Obama administration as well. And back in 2014, there was pictures actually surfaced last year. I think was basically children in cages. The media tried to twist it and make it seem like that was from 2017 during the Trump administration, but that was actually from 2014, which is during Obama's administration. So, to act like, to say that this is completely all Trump's doing is completely be ignorant of everything, and they're just trying to grab the straws to try to find something to pin against Trump. And of course, Kirstjen Nielsen was at the forefront of all that criticism. But anyways, it continues. And given that what we know about DC, they're probably going to secede. What? Okay. Anyways, Politico reports almost as soon as word of her resignation under pressure leaked, Nielsen allies began spinning a narrative of her tenure that casts her not as enabler of President Trump's most controversial immigration policies, but as a guardrail against more extreme action. In particular, they stressed that the policy of which Nielsen most fiercely reviled, separating detained migrant children from their parents, gave her no pleasure, in that she slow-walked or resisted other Trump demands on the border security. Again, this wasn't Trump's policy. This was already implemented in 2016. So, this is complete and utter false. But of course, the media don't care. They're just trying to paint Trump and Nielsen as bad as they possibly can. It continues. Isn't that nice? They may not know it now, but I'm sure 6 the 6-year-olds who suffer lasting damage from the trauma of being forcibly separated from their parents are one day going to appreciate Kristen Nielsen's reluctance to take pleasure from enforcing the enforcement policy. Okay, name one person that actually taking pleasure from separating children from their parents at the border. Again, I don't particularly like this policy, but it can be easily changed by Congress, and they refuse to do anything about it. Actually, I think it was like Mike Pence actually brought it to, was it the Senate or something? And they completely refused to vote on it. So, it's not like Trump can use a pen and then do that and it's done. That's not how our government works. But anyways, and again, the idea of someone taking pleasure from doing this is just utter nonsense. Trump is certainly not taking pleasure from this, and Richard Nixon not certainly taking pleasure from this, and I doubt any border security officials are taking pleasure from this. But it's their job; they have to do it, or else. It's a horrible policy, but it's the law. Anyway, it continues. The jives well with earlier reporting from the New York Times, Maggie Haberman, that suggested that Nielsen had her literacy on her mind. And here's a tweet from Maggie Haberman, I guess. People close to her say one reason, perhaps not only one, is that she was aware of how awful life would and will be for her on the outside after defending his policies for a long time. I'll get to that a little later. That's just, anyways. No matter how many op-eds come out in the next week calling for a complete shunning of Nielsen from public life, experience tells us that she's probably going to do just fine. John Kelly and Don McGahn are already hard at work in trying to prepare their public perceptions. Oliver North is the president of the NRA. Oliver North is president of the RNA. War criminal Elliot Abrams lied to Congress, admitted doing so took a few decades to work on D.C. think tanks, and has since worked in 2 more Republican administrations. Alright, so, okay. Yeah, I'm done with this piece, but anyways, it's just disgusting to see what the media is trying to do here. They're basically trying to ruin Kirstjen Nielsen's life as best as they can, so that she cannot get a job anywhere, even the private sector, at all. That's pretty much what the goal is right here. That's what it says. No matter how many op-eds come out in the next week calling for the complete shunning of Nielsen from public life, experience tells us she probably does just fine. And I hope she just do just fine. It just aggravates me when people try to not simply just critique someone on the policies, but instead they have to ruin their entire character and shun them from public life, and even to the point where they can't get a job anywhere. I can't stand that at all. But anyways, Atlantic has a similar piece. In this title, Kirstjen Nielsen's job prospects are probably pretty slim. Again, it's just the media trying to work hard to try to shun her as best they can to keep her from getting a job in the private sector, even in the public sector. Last May, Kirstjen Nielsen found herself doing what so many officials in the Trump administration had done before her, navigating rumors that she would soon be fired. Illegal border crossings were on the rise, and the president was angry. At the time, White House Chief of Staff John Kelly was able to calm him down and reassure him that Nielsen's competence. But the rumors persisted through the spring, so Nielsen, who had been helming the Department of Homeland Security for just 5 months, started to consider her options. The career trajectory of a senior administration official who's left government is typically filled with vaunted board seats and positions atop major corporations. But Nelson and her aides were skittish that neither were in the cards. She's going to be a real challenge to get on the boards, a Republican operated. Close to Nielsen's team told me this week, explaining the team's thinking at the time that these administration's zero tolerance immigration policy, which led to the separation of thousands of migrant families at the border, which was still fresh in everyone's mind. It was like we were going to get hung with this, and an operative who, like others I interviewed for this story, spoke on the condition of a nominee in order to discuss private conversations and speak frankly. So they were thinking, even then, what does she do after this? Again, for the 100th time, this is not Trump's policy. He may be enforcing it, but he did not implement this policy. This was implemented by the Court of Appeals back in 2016. This media malfeasance at its finest. But anyways, it continues. The question became moot, of course, because Nielsen and her boss were able to smooth things over. Okay, good. But on Sunday, concerns about the life after Trump came crashing back down following an Oval Office meeting with the president, in which he vented his frustration over the continued increase in migrant traffic. Nielsen submitted her resignation. From almost the beginning, this administration and aides and senior and junior alike, have worried about their job prospects after they finished working for Trump. So, this is basically the main score right here. Is basically anyone who has worked with President Trump in any fashion, they need to be shunned from public life and be kept from getting a job anywhere in the United States ever. They've been trying to. And it's pretty evident when they're trying to do that with Christian Nielsen here. It's disgusting play tactics, right? Political tactics right here, and it's once again points out the bias in the media and how just their hatred of Trump causes them willing to do anything to make him look bad or whatever. This is why conservatives don't like the media. This didn't start with Trump right here. The media has been awful for years at this point, and this basically Trump was just a response to this, and honestly they don't like it, so that's why they have gone fully insane, even to the point of defending their reporting on the Russia stuff. As we recall, a couple weeks back, the Mueller report was released, and obviously. There was no evidence of collusion with the Russian government, and of course, for the past 2 years, the media has been the forefront of spreading false bombshells and just bad reporting all around. But of course, instead of apologizing, they defend their reporting, saying they're not investigators, but we're just reporting on the facts that come in. Thing is, no facts actually pointed to collusion. But anyways, in other news, Pete Buttigieg, who is a Democratic, I believe a Democratic nominee or candidate for president, has been attacking Mike Pence. As we recall, or if you don't know this, Pete Buttigieg is actually a gay man, and then he's been attacking Mike Pence because, of course, Mike Pence is a Christian, and of course, as many people know, Christians have a belief that homosexuality is a sin, which But the thing is, Mike Pence is not really publicly, or what was I trying to say? He has not come out and attacked Pete Buttigieg like personally, whatever, or he's not come out trying to express policies to like ban like gay marriage or whatever, but Pete Buttigieg decided to go after Mike Pence for some reason, saying anyways. I mean, it's all like it's bizarre. I mean, for a while, like Pete Buttigieg seemed like a kind of more of a moderate kind of candidate, but then he suddenly decided to do this. It just made no sense at all. And National Review has a good piece, but on this, and it's by Ben Shapiro for the Daily Wire, and here's what it says. Back in 2015, Indiana's Mayor Pete Buttigieg came out of the closet as a gay man. Asked about the news, Indiana Governor Mike Pence simply responded, "I hold Mayor Buttigieg in the highest personal regard, and I see him as a dedicated public servant and a patriot." Okay. I mean, that's all what Mike Pence said about him. He didn't attack him from being gay or anything. But continues. A year later, Buttigieg had been deployed to Afghanistan as a member of the U.S. Naval Reserve, according to the Indianapolis Star, and noticeably moved. Pence called Buttigieg the day as he was driving to the base. There is no evidence that Pence has ever said an unkind word about or done an unkind thing to Buttigieg. So naturally, Buttigieg is attacking Pence as a homophobic bigot, nearly every day on the campaign trail. Appearing on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Buttigieg sneered, "He's nice. If you were here, you would think he's a nice guy to your face. But he's also fanatical." Speaking at the LGBTQ Victory Fund National Champagne Brunch in Washington, Buttigieg tore into Pence's supposed intolerance. Let's think. I wish that my Pence of the world would understand that if you got a problem with who I am, your problem is not with me. The problem is your quarrel is with my creator. And this is basically Buttigieg saying that God made him gay, which makes actually no sense whatsoever. I mean, as we recall, homosexuality is a sin. So basically, what he's saying is that God is making him sin, which obviously is completely untrue. Of course, yes. Anyways. Sorry, it continues. This week, Buttigieg tweeted clearly in the reference to Pence, "People will often be polite to you in person while advancing policies that harm you and your family. You will be polite to them in turn, but you need not stand for such harms. Instead, you push back and honestly and infinitely, so it goes, in the public square." This is a charge for Buttigieg, whose best-selling memoir contains no negative references about Pence, but complains of the complications of being openly gay in the Mike Pence's Indiana. That phraseology is more of a critique of Pence's policy preferences than his personality. Fair enough. Anyways. But Buttigieg is no longer operating in good faith. Now he's attacking Christians who disagree with his policies and support Trump. He's castigating Pence as a religious homophobe, characterizing him as a obstacle to tolerance. Why? Because it is far more convenient to cast Pence as a closed-minded bigot than it is to respect him as a political opponent, which is, of course, completely true. Anytime when someone on the Democratic side says anything nice about someone on the right or someone who's a Christian, whatever, they immediately get hammered by the radical left. yeah, we saw this with we saw this with Mark Duplass last year when he like suggested that Mitch Shapiro is a like good guy with good intentions, and he got hammered by the left for that. And that shows you like who the real intolerant ones is, and it brings up like kind of another subject that there's a growing anti-Christian sentiment in this country. Like you saw this with Mike Pence's wife when she accepted a job at a Christian school, and then the left like completely flipped out, saying, "Oh, it's a homophobic school and school of intolerance and all that." Is just which is ridiculous. It's a Christian school with traditional values, which is what the Pences hold. But basically, and of course, people have been attacking Chick-fil-A for years and all that. I mean, honestly, obviously, Christians have it pretty well in this country, but you can't ignore that there is a growing anti-Christian sentiment in this country. It's just too evident, especially if you pay attention to, social media and all that. All right. So in other news, Democrats have completely have just gone after Candace Owens, who's obviously part of the Turning Point USA, and who's a kind of a popular conservative. But anyways, yesterday she was in a hearing with Congress, and here's a video of Ted Lieu going after her over something that's very stupid. And I'll explain just a little bit, but here's like the audio for it at least.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In congressional hearings, the minority party gets to select its own witnesses. And of all the people that Republicans could have selected, they picked Candace Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. He was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. Problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
All right, so my first question is to Ms. Hirschenoff. Ms. Owens said, quote, "If Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. So when people try to legitimize Adolf Hitler, does that feed into white nationalist ideology?" In Congress.
Okay, there's several problems with this. First off, I mean, he's completely taking what she said out of context. I mean, she wasn't really legitimizing Adolf Hitler. What she was basically suggesting that the idea of nationalism on its own is not bad, but it can be poisonous sometimes. But that was the point. Like the idea of nationalism wasn't a entirely bad thing, and like globalism and stuff can be a pretty terrible thing. And of course, I mean, she could have like worded it just a little bit differently, but I mean, all in all, it's obvious she wasn't trying to legitimize Adolf Hitler. And basically, what Ted Lieu is trying to suggest here that she is like a white nationalist or whatever, which I mean, one just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. For one, she's an African American woman, and I'm pretty sure white nationalists aren't too kind to people of that skin color or whatever. I mean, obviously, we saw from KKK for years, and obviously Nazis weren't too friendly to them either. So, yeah, I mean, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, then again, I mean, the media has been going after Candace Owens using this argument for years. At this point, they try to go after her, try to blame her for the white supremacist shooting, the white supremacist shooting at the mosque in New Zealand. And they try to blame her for a number of white nationalist things. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Hearings, the minority.
Sorry, but luckily, Candace Owens is a fighter, and she's not gonna have any of that crap. And here's her rebuttal to Ted Lieu's statement. If it will load. And eventually I'm gonna try to get to where I can actually play the video on here on the screen, so you can actually see it and hear it properly without me having to pull up the audio to my microphone. But I mean that'll come later on. But anyways, let me try to find response. All right, and here's the clip of Candace Owens' response to Ted Lieu.
Thank you. Miss Owens, I'm sorry. We just started recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Lieu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee. The witness will not do that again. Witness may continue.
Sure, even though I was called despicable.
Witness may not refer to a member of the committee as stupid.
I didn't refer to him as stupid. That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. You didn't listen to what I said. May I continue?
Please.
As I said, he is assuming that black people will not go pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
Freaking boom! I mean that's some awesome response by Candace Owens, and it's completely correct. I mean she completely called out their BS. No, that was awesome. And this is not the first time Democrats have tried, and the left have tried to accuse someone falsely of trying to defend Hitler. I mean, they of course did that to her a number of times, which is obviously not true. And as you can hear in that clip, it was not true. They did that with actually did that recently back in January with Ben Shapiro, when in the March for Life he suggested that pro-lifers would not go back if they have the option to go back in time to stop the Holocaust. They wouldn't actually go back and kill baby Hitler. They would instead take Hitler from his home and bring him into a new home where he's raised differently. Which is obviously, I mean, given an option, pro-lifers would do that. Because we don't believe in killing babies and all that. But of course, the left took that out of context and suggested that, he wanted Hitler alive because he likes Hitler's policies. First of all, I mean, Ben is a Orthodox Jew, so I don't know why. I don't know why he would actually defend Hitler's Hitler in any way, because Hitler was after his people. I mean, but then again, the left has a tendency to label anyone on the right as a white supremacist, alt-right, Nazi, whatever. I mean, that's their tendency. The same thing with racism, and they completely took these terms that meant something like very like awful. Like racism used to mean like, I mean, it's of course racism still means something like, you know, judging people or have a perception about someone because of their color of skin or whatever. But the left has taken that out of context to and completely twisted to make it seem like anyone who expresses like any conservative like thought is a racist or whatever, and it had done that with the term alt-right, white supremacist, Nazi, and all that. And it's, you know, is all this part of this game of identity politics, and it's one day gonna come and bite them in the butt. All right, let's get to some let's get into some good news of the day and some bad news. So it's the good news. The unplanned movie, which is the movie about the pro-life movie about the Planned Parenthood worker who, you know, obviously was the employee of the month at Planned Parenthood, who completely turned her life around and became a pro-life advocate. I have not personally seen this movie, but from what I've heard from the people I've seen it, it's a very, very good movie, and it's very touching as well. But one of the good news about this whole thing is it reached and opened at number 4 in the box office, which is pretty incredible. I mean, number 4, that's pretty good. So anyways, some bad news. So Hillary Clinton is back, and you know, she's in her Hillary Clinton is back, and you know, back in action. And yesterday she posted this tweet, and here's what it says: "The white nationalists certainly think MAGA is a white nationalist slogan, and this is her way of trying to paint Trump supporters as, you know, white nationalists and all that." And of course, I mean, that's what got her loss back in 2016. Alright. So, anyways, I'll be that's all I have for today. So I'll be back here on Friday. I'll actually be doing something a little different on Friday. So I'll see y'all then. Hope everyone has a great Thursday. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God of Freedom Show.